We should, um, we should talk about what happened.
I suppose you boys could give me a jump.
The film starts with a deceased individual dressed in vibrant clothes drifting along turbulent river waters. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a duo of hunters prepares to take aim at a deer. Rayburn Swanson intervenes, confiscating their weapons and asserting they're intruding on private land. The hunters recognize him, hinting at Rayburn's past as a hunter himself. "People evolve," he remarks to them. "Not really," one retorts. Rayburn returns home to his dog, Thor, equipped with surveillance gear for monitoring the area. Sheriff Alice Gustafson introduces her brother Brooks, retrieved by Carl Blackhawk, the tribal police sheriff, from an establishment known as the Factory, suggested to be a disreputable spot. Brooks appears to have been in a fight but refuses to disclose to Blackhawk what occurred at the factory. While Alice drives Brooks home, he admits to getting into a scuffle with Sam Moonblood over a woman. He mentions that Sam and someone named Olson are involved in various nefarious activities. Brooks feels uneasy as they pass by a barn. Alice is summoned to a potential murder case. Meanwhile, Rayburn hosts a school field trip while slightly intoxicated, explaining his management of a 50-square-mile sanctuary. One of the students remarks on Rayburn's past as a hunter. He explains he abandoned that lifestyle because his daughter disapproved. Alice and the local law enforcement investigate the body of a young girl washed ashore. A forensic examiner suggests the body was likely dumped in the water after death, approximately a week earlier. The body bears a vertical scar on the neck region. The police discover a spearhead lodged in a nearby tree, suspecting the girl may have been targeted for recreational hunting. Rayburn drives around town, posting missing person flyers for his 14-year-old daughter, Gwen. Shortly after, he encounters Blackhawk and his former wife, Debbie. Their discussion unveils that Debbie is Rayburn's ex-spouse. She invites Rayburn to a funeral organized by Blackhawk for Gwen and asks him to sign paperwork officially presuming Gwen's death to obtain a death certificate. Alice examines the earlier found spearhead in her office, revealing an emblem MB when shining a flashlight through it. Back at home, an intoxicated Rayburn catches news of the unidentified girl's body discovery and rushes over. Alice pays a visit to her brother, Brooks, and they discuss the passing of their parents. Brooks inquires whether Alice would support him if he ever got tangled up in something dreadful. Shortly after, Rayburn arrives in search of Alice and asks her to accompany him to view the unidentified body. They head to the morgue, where he confirms it's not Gwen. Later that evening, Alice finds Rayburn at a bar. She expresses her desire to assist in locating Gwen to earn respect from the community. Rayburn, however, isn't hopeful, deeming it a cold case since Gwen vanished 5 years ago. The following morning, Rayburn spots an individual in a heavily camouflaged ghillie suit tampering with one of his surveillance cameras in the sanctuary. He gathers his hunting gear and heads over there. Despite being targeted with spears, he manages to escape after being struck in the shoulder. His car breaks down, leaving him stranded without transportation. While exploring the area, he comes across another pickup truck, likely owned by the hunter. In secret, he marks a small X near its fuel tank before walking back home. Reviewing surveillance footage, he discovers that the hunter has been tracking a young girl. Returning to the woods, he tries to confront the hunter but fails to apprehend them. Alice consults a local vendor of hunting equipment about the found spearhead. The vendor explains that the spear was probably propelled by an otlotl, an ancient handheld spear-throwing device now considered rare and illegal. He directs her to Sam Moonblood, who frequents the factory and sells otlotls he makes himself. In the forest, Rayburn locates the girl being hunted, unconscious. Meanwhile, Alice visits the factory, a gathering place for troublemakers and homeless individuals. She asks about Sam Moonblood and learns he's probably out hunting. A girl named Patty gives Alice a potential location where she might find Moonblood. In the woods, Rayburn carries the unconscious girl and stumbles upon a small underground shelter. The girl wakes up but can't speak, communicating through writing that her name is Molly. They decide to stay there for the night. Alice arrives at Moonblood's suspected home, but it's empty. Inside, she discovers spearheads for otlotls with the same MB initials. Blackhawk appears, having followed her, and shows her a photo of Molly, who is missing. He mentions that Molly's mother frequents the factory and claimed to have had an altercation with Brooks. Alice doesn't want to accept the idea that her brother could be involved in a kidnapping, but Blackhawk seems to entertain the possibility. The following morning, Alice goes to Brooks's house, but he's not there. She discovers newspaper articles about kidnappings. Meanwhile, Rayburn and Molly continue traveling on foot. During a rest, Rayburn shows Molly a photo of Gwen, whom she doesn't recognize. Eventually, they arrive at Rayburn's house, where they hear Thor whimpering. The hunter, still disguised by the ghillie suit, ambushes Rayburn. Molly attempts to fight back, but gets stabbed with a spear. Just then, Alice arrives intending to question Rayburn about the firearms he seized from the hunters earlier. She holds the hunter at gunpoint, who surrenders. However, Alice realizes it's Brooks due to his habit of cracking his knuckles. She shoots Rayburn instead, allowing her brother to escape. Rayburn manages to escape as well. He calls an ambulance for Molly, ensnares Alice in a bear trap, and takes her SUV to Blackhawk and Debbie's house. He explains to them how Alice shot him to defend her brother. Alice requests backup and orders Rayburn's arrest. Blackhawk and Debbie transport Rayburn to the factory, where their trusted Dr. Boone treats him. Brooks coincidentally arrives at the factory seeking drugs. Following a pursuit on foot, Blackhawk apprehends him. Alice is informed of this and arrives on the scene. Blackhawk stands firm, believing Rayburn's account, reminding Alice that she lacks jurisdiction in his county and refuses to allow her to see Brooks. Shortly afterward, Brooks guides the police, including Alice and Blackhawk, to the previously mentioned barn. There, they discover Sam Moonblood, restrained and silenced. Blackhawk explains that Brooks has been holding Moonblood captive since their fight but denies knowing anything about Molly. He trusts Brooks because witnesses saw him at the factory during Alice and Rayburn's confrontation, meaning the hunter's identity remains a mystery. Blackhawk suggests Alice be put on leave and investigated for shooting Rayburn. Alice cancels the search for Rayburn. At the factory, Rayburn learns that the hunter wasn't Brooks. The next day, Blackhawk summons Alice to question Moonblood. He mentions that Rayburn changed his statement, alleging the suspect must have shot him. Moonblood claims he doesn't keep track of his customers' names when selling outlawals. He doesn't recognize the recovered spearhead, noting it's made from a different wood than what he uses. As Rayburn clears out bottles of alcohol, hinting at quitting, a flashback shows his daughter disappearing from his car while he stopped to buy whiskey. Even now, he clings to that aging bottle of whiskey. Alice visits Molly, who is severely injured in the hospital. She notices a similar scar on Molly's throat, reminiscent of the one on the unidentified body from earlier. Later, Rayburn encounters a pickup truck identical to the one he found in the woods, likely belonging to the mysterious hunter. He pursues it and searches for his X marking but finds none. Determined to locate the hunter, he waits near busy roads until spotting another such truck. He tails it until it halts at a residence. He locates his mark by the fuel tank, but discovers it's driven by an elderly man who lives alone, unlikely to be the hunter. The man informs Rayburn that his neighbor occasionally borrows the truck. Rayburn decides to visit this neighbor's house. Entering forcefully, he discovers a dimly lit room adorned with posters and newspaper clippings featuring individuals who have disappeared in the vicinity. Another room reveals an unconscious girl with a surgically incised throat. Suddenly, he's ambushed by Dr. Boone, who administers a sedative injection, rendering Rayburn unconscious. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Alice is escorted to Dr. Boone's office to search for an autopsy report. There, she learns that Boone had a daughter named Melissa who was struck by a drunk driver in a forest and left to perish. In a framed photo of them, Melissa is seen wearing a pendant with the same MB initials as the spearheads. With police assistance, Alice breaks into Boone's home and locates the unconscious girl. However, neither Boone nor Rayburn is present. She notices a missing poster for Gwen Swanson and becomes determined to locate Rayburn. Boone drives Rayburn, who is beginning to regain consciousness, into the forest. Boone allows Rayburn to begin his escape while he dons his hunting attire. Alice arrives at Rayburn's place, discovers Thor barking at the surveillance system, and observes Rayburn fleeing through the sanctuary in darkness while being pursued by the hunter. Armed, she ventures into the sanctuary on foot to locate them. Eventually, Rayburn surprises Boone and overpowers him, questioning Boone about Gwen's involvement. Boone confesses that Rayburn's intoxicated driving caused the death of his daughter, Melissa, and he presumed Gwen, being Rayburn's daughter, would also become a burden on society. He admits to targeting only those who wouldn't be missed. Rayburn incapacitates Boone and prepares to execute him. Just then, Alice intervenes, aiming her gun at Rayburn. He urges her to either shoot him again or walk away. Rayburn drops Boone onto one of his old, inactive animal traps, nearly killing him. Mortally wounded, Boone inquires if Rayburn will abandon him to perish like an animal. Rayburn responds that he wouldn't leave even an animal in such agony. He then conceals the trap, abandoning Boone. Back in town, a funeral is held for Gwen, attended by many, including Molly. The barn where Brooks held Moon blood is shown being demolished. According to Alice's police radio, Dr. Boone is suspected to be a serial killer and is still unaccounted for. The film concludes with Rayburn seemingly preparing to pour out the bottle of whiskey he bought on the day Gwen was abducted. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you want to watch more videos like this. Thanks and see you again soon. Take care.